Okay, so this is the engine on the 707. They're both on the back of the boats, so they're both quite similar. The 707s have a footwell here that you can store the engine inside, but on the Port Edgar ones it's easier to keep them on the back, so that's what we do. So the first thing you need to do is tilt it into the upright position by pulling out this pin. Wait, let me get a close up of that pin. Pulling out that pin and then letting the engine go vertical. And then to get it to go down into the water, there's a mechanism on the front here, so you need to take the weight of the engine and disengage that notch there and then put it down into the water. That's it. Okay, so when you come to start the engine, you need to think about 5 things that you've got to check. So you've got to undo the air screw on the top. So you've got to turn the fuel on. So it says on it closed or open. Open is when it's pointing down. Then you've got to put the kill switch in. And you see how that goes behind the red button to hold the red button out. You've got to put the choke to open, which is down, and then put the throttle to the start position, which is about 1/4 of the way up. That's it. So then once you've done that, you can pull it. So as soon as it's started, you have to turn the choke off, otherwise it floods, and you have to put the throttle on a little bit more. Yeah, see, it floods quite easily. So, yeah, keep the throttle on.
I ain't going to do it.
Oh, the kill switch has fallen out. That's always a good one to check. Once you know it's not going to stop, you can turn the revs down a bit and just let it run. To put the engine into gear, you use this lever here. So when it's back it's in neutral, when it's forwards it's in gear. So these boats don't have a reverse gear, so what you have to do is twist them round, and that's you in reverse basically. It's best to have one person on the engine and one person on the tiller. Okay, so to switch it off, put the throttle down and just take the kill switch out. So, close the bleed screw, otherwise when you tip it up the petrol will come out of it. It. Yep, put the petrol off, and then we have to pull it up first. Yeah, so disengage that bar. You have to take the weight off the engine so you can disengage it. You can see the notches in it there, and then you can tip the. That's it. With this one, if you put it all the way up to the top on that notch thing, you can't tip the whole engine forwards because the bar doesn't go in, it bangs underneath the engine. But as long as it's out of the water so it's not growing seaweed on it, that's fine. If you need spare petrol, it's kept in the cockpit underneath this cover. And these are 2-stroke engines, so the fuel that's in here has already been mixed. It's 50-to-1 oil and petrol, so don't use straight petrol, use the fuel that's already been mixed, that's on board. Right, this is inside the 707. We've got a radio on the port side here, and to switch the battery on, it's down on the port side, just under the hatchway. It's the red button, and you just switch it like that to turn it on. Remember to turn it off though, because the battery goes flat. There's no way of charging the battery. Then the radio this turns on here. So the yacht club operates on M1 for racing, or channel 37. Put the channels up and down here. And channel 16 if you're in distress. When you're leaving the pontoon, it's better to have one person on the tiller and one person operating the engine. Once the bow's clear of the pontoon, turn the engine 180 degrees to go forwards, and then give it some welly.
That's fine.
There's a dredged channel going out of the harbour. Imagine the tyre barrier runs down the centre of an area the size of a football pitch. You have to go round the edge of the pitch on each side. Don't cut the corner off, or at low tide you'll get stuck. First, loosen the kicking strap. Then loosen the main halyard about 2 metres. Pull the sail down and put the ring in the front of the sail into the horn on the front of the boom. Winch the main halyard up again. Tighten up the reefing line. Put the kicker back on, and away you go. So when you're parking the boat up, it needs a bow rope on either side in order to hold it off the pontoon. Then it needs a spring that goes from this cleat at the front through the guardrails and down to the cleat at the back, and that has to be tight enough to hold the bow off the pontoon here. And then it needs another spring that goes from the cleat at the bow through the guardrails and up onto the winch on the cabin top, and it needs fenders at the widest part. Put the jib away by just rolling it up down the wire at the edge of it. And then it goes into the yellow bag.
No, I just remember last time.
Yeah, it has to be quite tight or it doesn't fit in the yellow bag.
Yeah.
Put the mainsail away. One technique is get it all down on one side of the boat. You stand on the other side, two of you. Fold it to the top batten and then roll it down from the top batten. Flake it over the boom if you want to, but this is just one way of getting it done up quite neat. So then it gets the cover over the boom, it gets a cover on the tiller, and the tiller gets tied to one side of the boat, and the spinnaker pole gets put down inside the cabin. There's not always a dead body in the cockpit when you're putting the spinnaker pole away. And when you're finished and you're all packed up, remember to to turn the instruments off because otherwise the battery goes flat.